Welcome to the Casuals Guide to UFC Fight Night Blanchfield vs. Fiorot, where I show you filthy casuals why this card is going to be a banger. And this card is super underrated. The names might not be big, but styles make fights, and there's some fun ones on this one. So smash that like button and let's get right into it. In the main event, we have a title contender eliminator when the number 2 ranked flyweight Erin Cold-Blooded Blanchfield takes on the number 3 ranked Manon The Beast Fiorot. There is a lot at stake as the winner of this fight will be next in line for a shot at the title. Erin Blanchfield is 12-1 and is undefeated in the UFC so far with a record of 6-0. She made her UFC debut against Sarah Alpar, where she would win a unanimous decision. She would follow that up with a huge win over fellow young prospect Miranda Maverick. This was the fight that put Blanchfield on my radar. I was very high on Maverick and Erin had a great performance against her. And she would follow that up with a standing guillotine choke submission against JJ Aldrich. She would once again make her presence known to the masses when she would take on Molly McCann. This was when Molly and Patty were on the rise, but Erin would make it look too easy when she would dominate Molly and lock in a nasty Kimura in the very first round. She would earn a jump in competition and locked in a matchup with Taila Santos. Unfortunately for Erin, Santos would withdraw from that fight, but Jessica Andrade would step in on short notice, and I think this was a blessing in disguise as I think Andrade is a bigger name than Santos, and she would deliver as she would take Jessica down and lock in a rear naked choke in the second round. In her most recent fight, they would go back and once again schedule her to fight Taila Santos, and this time the fight would actually happen. And it was such a close fight, it got grimy at the end, but Erin would come out with a victory by unanimous decision. She has been on a nasty rise to the top, but on the other side, another contender has also been on the surge. Manon Fiorot is 11-1 and is 6-0 in the UFC so far. She made her UFC debut against Victoria Leonardo, where she would put on a striking clinic, and she would find the TKO finish in the second round when she would land a head kick and some follow-up shots. She would continue her momentum with another standing TKO against Tabitha Ricci. Her next 4 fights, she would be matched up with top flyweights. She would win a unanimous decision against Mayra Bueno Silva, then another unanimous decision win against Jennifer Maia. She would get another decision win over Katlyn Chookagian, and in her last fight, she would welcome former strawweight champion Rose Namajunas to the flyweight division. She would prove to be the real deal as she won by decision. Both of these women are the cream of the crop. Manon is 34 years old and is looking to win the belt while she is still in her prime. Erin is only 24 years old, but it's always impressive how far along her skill set is. Manon will have the height and reach advantage, but Erin looks to be much stronger. Fiorot is the more comfortable striker and will look to keep it standing. Erin is more inclined to go for the takedowns and use her grappling advantage. It's going to be such a fun fight. Will the Beast show out and lock in her shot at the title, or will the young Blanchfield prove that at only 24 years old, she is cold-blooded? Don't miss out. In the co-main event, we get a banger when the Silent Assassin Vicente Luque takes on Joaquin New Mansa Buckley. If you're wondering why the number 11 ranked welterweight Vicente Luque is facing an unranked opponent, it's because he was originally matched up with Sean Brady, but Brady had to withdraw. And somehow we've gotten a better stylistic matchup. Both these guys are heavy-hitting strikers, always ready to throw down. Luque is 22-9 with 1 draw and has been in the UFC for such a long time. He joined the UFC in 2015 after he was on The Ultimate Fighter, and he has gone 15-5 since then. He is a finisher through and through. He has 11 wins by knockout or TKO and 8 by submission. He has some great finishes over Bilal Muhammad, Nico Price, Jalen Turner, Randy Brown, Tyron Woodley, and Michael Chiesa. He went on a 2-fight losing streak when he would lose via unanimous decision to Bilal Muhammad and when he would get knocked out for the very first time in his career by Jeff Neal. But he would bounce back with a unanimous decision win over Rafael Dos Anjos. He has had his last 2 matchups fall through against Ian Gary and Sean Brady. He has proven that he belongs among the ranked welterweights, but now he has a chance to build some momentum to the title. Joaquin Buckley has stepped in for Sean Brady and is the complete opposite of Brady. He loves to keep the fight standing. Buckley is 17-6 and he is 7-4 in the UFC. He made his UFC debut against Kevin Holland at middleweight, where he would get knocked out in the 3rd round. At middleweight, he had mild success. He had some great finishes against Jordan Wright, Antonio Arroyo, and Albert Duraev. And of course, his super viral knockout of Impa Kasanganay, where he would land a jumping spinning back kick that would put him out cold. After back-to-back losses to Nasruddin Imavov and Chris Curtis, he would make the move down to welterweight. I think this was a great move for him since he was undersized for middleweight at 5'10". The move has been paying off as he has gone 2-0 so far. He made his welterweight debut against Andre Fialho. He would land a devastating head kick that floored Fialho and earned him his first welterweight win. In his most recent fight, he was matched up with Alex Morono. He really impressed me in this fight since I think Morono is a super well-rounded guy and he was able to beat him via unanimous decision. A lot of people either love or hate Buckley. Me personally, I am a fan of his. He is always ready to bring it on and his interviews are usually really good and he's always trying to make it exciting. And at 29 years old, he is finally reaching his prime. He is constantly improving after every fight and this could be his big moment to break into the rankings. I'd be surprised if this fight makes it to the judges. It's just too much firepower in this fight. Will New Mansa be able to have his breakout moment and slip into the rankings? Or will the Silent Assassin quietly prove he is still a force to be reckoned with? Don't miss out. Top ranked strawweights clash when the number 5 ranked Virna Jandiroba takes on the number 10 ranked Lupita Loopy Godinez. Jandiroba is 19-3 and has gone 5-3 in the UFC so far. She has lost to top talent as she has decision losses to Carla Esparza, Mackenzie Dern, and Amanda Ribas. She does have wins over Mallory Martin, Felice Herrig, and Kanako Murata. She is currently on a roll as she is on a 2-fight win streak. She is coming off back-to-back decision wins over Angela Hill and Marina Rodriguez. She is a huge threat on the ground and will look to take this fight to the mat as soon as possible. 13 of her 19 wins are by submission, but she has struggled to find finishes in the UFC. She's going against the super active Loopy Godinez. The active Mexican was on fire in 2023. She has always been active, but in 2023, she would fight 4 times and she would win all 4. She would start the year off winning a split decision against Cynthia Calvillo to start her momentum. She would follow that out with a quick turnaround when a month later, she would win a unanimous decision over Emily Ducote. She would earn a performance of the night bonus when she would lock in a rear naked choke against Elise Reed. In her last fight, she would win a split decision over Tabitha Ritchie. She is 7-3 in the UFC with a lot of those fights happening on short notice or after a quick turnaround. She is a dog. She is relentless and always pushing the pace. She is very strong, but she's going to have to protect her neck against Jandiroba. It's going to be a fun fight, and with the title on the line at UFC 300, they have a chance to make their case for a shot at the title. Don't miss out. We get a fun middleweight matchup when Bruno Blindado Silva takes on former champion Chris The All-American Weidman. Both guys have been on their own skids. Both guys will be looking to bounce back. Bruno Silva is a very powerful puncher who will look to land his big shots before stopping the takedowns. This guy has crazy power. He is 23-10 as a pro and 20 of his wins are by knockout or TKO. He has gone 4-4 in the UFC so far. He made his UFC debut against Wellington Turman where he would showcase his power with a huge first round finish. He would follow that up with a standing TKO finish over Andrew Sanchez where he would earn performance of the night. He was on a roll and would continue it with a first round knockout over Jordan Wright. His woes would begin when he would lose a decision to Alex Pereira during Alex's rise to the title. He got hurt in this fight but showed toughness, which will become a common theme for him. And he would lose again when he would get hurt and submitted via guillotine choke by Gerald Mearshart. He would get a controversial finish over Brad Tavares. And he would get submitted in his next fight when he would get caught in a rear naked choke by Brendan Allen. In his most recent fight, he would welcome Shara Magomedov to the UFC. He would be outmatched as Magomedov would win the unanimous decision. He is a very entertaining fighter, but he could be on thin ice. He is matched up with the former middleweight champion Chris Weidman. The All-American has been on a nasty skid since losing the title to Luke Rockhold back in 2015. He is 2-6 since then. He would be finished in back-to-back fights by Yoel Romero and Gegard Mousasi. He would find a nice arm triangle choke finish over Kelvin Gastelum. He would then get finished in back-to-back fights again by Jacare and Dominic Reyes. He would find a win with the decision over Omari Akhmedov. Unfortunately, his woes would only get worse when he would suffer a horrific leg break during his fight against Uriah Hall. He would power through a grueling recovery to make it back into the octagon. He would make his return in 2023 at UFC 292. He would end up losing a decision to Brad Tavares. He has been in a rough patch, no doubt, but this might be his opportunity to bounce back, as Silva has shown some holes in his grappling game. Both guys have their backs to the walls and will be looking to prove that they still belong in the UFC. Don't miss out. We get an underrated middleweight matchup when Nursulton Ruziboev takes on the Reaper Sedriques Dumas. This fight is a low-key banger. If you know how these guys fight, you already know that this is a fire matchup. But if you don't, let me tell you more about these guys. Nursulton Ruziboev is a 6'5" beast out of Uzbekistan. At 30 years old, he has a professional record of 33-8 with 2 draws and 2 no contests. He is a nasty finisher. He has 11 wins by knockout or TKO and 20 by submission. Only 2 of his wins have been by decision. He was on an 8-fight win streak with all 8 wins coming by finish, and that would be enough to earn his ticket into the UFC. He would make his UFC debut against the heavy-hitting Bruno Ferreira. His debut would be one to remember when he would catch Bruno's kick and fire back with a huge right hand that floored Ferreira. Some extra shots would seal the victory for him. He had a huge height advantage against Bruno, but now he is facing a taller opponent, Sedriques Dumas. Dumas is still a very green fighter with a record of 9-1. He earned his UFC contract on the Contender Series when he would lock in a guillotine choke. His UFC debut would be against Josh Friend, where it would not go his way as he would be submitted in the second round via guillotine choke. He would bounce back with back-to-back decision wins over Cody Brundage and Abu Azaitar. I thought he had really improved between his fights and is looking better every time. Both guys are heavy-hitting strikers with underrated grappling. This fight is going to be a fun one. Don't miss out. Alright guys, that was my rundown of UFC Fight Night Blanchfield versus Fiorot. I hope you casuals learned a thing or two. Here's a few other fights to look out for on this underrated card. We're going to see 2 very strong grapplers go at it when Andre Petroski takes on Jacob Malkoun. We're going to see the super tough Angel Pacheco make his UFC debut against the Irish prospect Colin Loughran. Speaking of Irish prospects, Rhys McKee looks to bounce back against the heavy-hitting Chidi Njokuani. Julio Arce and Herbert Burns will be looking to bounce back at the expense of one another. Turkish prospect Ibo Aslan makes his UFC debut against Anton Turkalj. Victoria Dudakova looks to continue her undefeated record when she faces Melissa Gatto. It's going to be a great night of fights. Don't forget to tune in, and I'll see you next week for UFC Fight Night Allen versus Curtis. But until then, protect your neck and take care.
They talking crazy about you. They said
brother,
they smash
who
you.
cares? Who cares, brother? Who cares, brother? Who cares? Today, smash.